Hey everyone. Something just arrived in the post and it marks an interesting stage in my ongoing career as a writer. Back in 2021, I wrote a book called The Gulp. 5 interconnected novellas, all set in the strange, weird, creepy harbour town of Gulpepper, somewhere on the New South Wales south coast. I wasn't sure how well this book would be received, but I wrote it during the pandemic, the depths of the pandemic, when we were still in lockdown and stuff like that. I couldn't concentrate on bigger projects, and so I started writing these stories that I'd had in mind for a long time. And then I put it out myself because, why not? It was a weird thing to try to think of finding a publisher for. And it did really well. It won me an Aurealis Award for Best Collection, among other things. It was very popular, and I couldn't be happier about that. These 5 tales of horror that I wrote. So the following year, 2022, I wrote The Fall, which is, like it says, 5 more tales from the Gulp, another 5 interconnected novellas. And across these 2 books are 10 stories that tell a much bigger story. And I'd started to really build the Gulpepper mythos. I had other stories that weren't official tales from the Gulp, but that happened in and around that imagined geography. The towns of Endon to the north, Moncton to the south. There's a story in Serve Cold that was originally in the Bad Book, edited by John Taft, that's set in Moncton. The events in my novel Blood Covenant take place initially in Endon and then up into the hills behind that. So these are stories that are set in that geography that I created, that fictitious geography. Somebody in one of the reviews for the Gulp said Baxter's found his Castle Rock, and that was a great review for me, because that is exactly what I wanted to do, was to create this place I could revisit, people, places, events I could revisit and overlap, and put all kinds of sort of crazy like Easter eggs in other stories and stuff like that. And for a long time I thought that these 2, The Gulp and The Fall, these 2 books would make the official tales from the Gulp. And then I would just set other stories in and around that geography and that Gulpepper mythology. But I did get a lot of people keep asking if I was going to write another volume of actual tales from the Gulp. And I ummed and ahed about it for a long time. And then the last year, 18 months, has been a little bit quieter in terms of career. The industry is a mess. Don't get me started on that. My agent currently has 2 novels and a novella out on submission. Wish me luck. Let's find a home for those. But in the meantime, these stories had been knocking on the back of my head. This writing more tales from the Gulp. And so I decided, you know what? Maybe I will. Maybe I'll do one more volume. 5 more novellas. 5 more tales of horror set in Gulpepper. So I did. And this has just arrived, which I think this is going to be a really stupid video if this turns out to be something different. But I think this is the first proof copy of the 3rd Tales from the Gulp. If I can get it out of the packaging. It is. It never gets old seeing a new book for the first time. It never gets old. The Rise, another 5 tales from the Gulp. This is the first time I've ever seen all 3 of these together. I'm not going to be able to hold them all together. Oh, look at that. Can't see what I'm doing. The Gulp, The Fall, The Rise. This one, this could be a little bit messed up. It's a proof copy, so this is the copy that I have to sort of check through, make sure it all works, and make sure it's all correct before I make it available for pre-order. I'll have a proper look at this later, but initial quick squiz of that makes it feels to me like it's in pretty good shape. This artwork is by my talented wife Helenka Orshalok once again. She did the all the covers of these 3 books have always used her paintings. She didn't paint covers for the books. These are the sort of paintings that she made, and she kindly let me use them for the books. So this was for the cover of the Gulp. This one we used for the cover of The Fall. I keep going the wrong way. I can't flip my mirror video, stupid thing. And then this one is a painting called Road Through Gerrera, which we've used for the cover of The Rise. Of course, anybody who knows their Gulpepper mythos, the road between Endon and Moncton, there's a left turn that goes to Gulpepper. So this was a painting that she made anyway, and it's just so perfect for the way the Gulpepper mythos has been built. So here it is, another 5 Tales from the Gulp. I'm really excited about this. I really hope it does well. I'm really nervous about it as well, because those 2 books have been so well received and so popular. And am I pushing my luck writing a third? Never say never, but I am fairly convinced I'm not going to write any more official Tales from the Gulp. I think I'm just going to keep this as 3 volumes, 15 stories. A couple of loose ends from here do get picked up and tied up in here. It does end up leaving a couple of questions as well. There's it's no point in having all the answers, is there? And I will definitely write more stories in and around Gulpepper. I will definitely write more stories that explore a little bit the Gulpepper mythos. One of the novels that's with my agent at the moment is set in Moncton, and it references directly events in the fall. One of the characters is the child of people who died during the fall. So I will definitely revisit this mythos a lot. I plan to spend a lot of time here. But this one, I think, will be the final official volume of Tales from the Gulp. I say that now, but who knows? Who knows what might happen? But at this stage, that's the plan. And this one is coming. It'll be up for pre-order very soon, especially if this is in good shape. I can approve the paperback for pre-order. It looks pretty good to me so far. Needs a proper look, but there you go. So ebook, this paperback will be up for pre-order soon. Its set release date is Friday the 13th of February next year, 2026. Friday the 13th seemed like a suitable, fitting date to release 5 more tales from Gulpepper. So I really hope people will get behind it and give it a go. I really, really hope people enjoy it as much as they seem to have enjoyed the first 2. And I really am excited. Look at that, there you go. I really am excited for these to start finding readers, and hopefully they line up pretty well, do they? Yeah, not bad luck too. Hopefully The Rise will help bring new readers to The Gulp and the Fall. If you're already a reader of The Gulp and the Fall, thank you so much, and I hope you'll pick up The Rise and enjoy it just as much, if not more. One thing that is worth mentioning, just going to try to find this here because it's just at the start. There's a story in this volume, in the 3rd book, called Vitulinum, and there's a author's note there. I have a content warning page on my website, so people can always go to my website and look up if there's any particular things that bother them they don't want to read in fiction. There's a list of all the different sort of things that you might, the sort of things that might upset people, and then you can see which of my books do or don't use them. I think it's much better to put content warnings there rather than in the book, because sometimes at the front it can be a spoiler, at the back it can be difficult, especially in an ebook. But content warnings are very valuable. People just want to enjoy themselves and have a good time reading a book. They don't want to be re-traumatized. But this is the first time I've put a content warning right at the start of a story. That was one of the hardest stories I've ever written, because there's some really awful people in that story. So I thought I'd better make a mention of that. So be interesting to see how that one goes. Anyway, that's it. It's here. The Rise, the 3rd volume in the official Tales from the Gulp. Once I've had a chance to have a good proper look at it, I'll approve the paperback for pre-order. Ebooks are pre-orderable pretty much now or very soon. They should be populating out, ready for a Friday the 13th release. If you do have the opportunity to pre-order, please do, because it makes a big difference to discoverability. And if a lot of pre-orders go through, then release day comes through, it gets a lot of sort of press, and then it might hit the hot new release list and stuff like that, and that really helps little guys like me get noticed. So if you are in in the position to make a pre-order, please do. If not, do what you can, and of course just order it to your local library if you don't have to buy it. It's fantastic to send books into libraries, so go to your local library and order all 3 volumes in, and borrow them that way and enjoy and tell your friends. So thanks for watching. If you're still here, I'm quite excited. I'm going to go and have a good proper look at this now. The Rise, the 3rd official Tales from the Gulp, is coming Friday, February the 13th, 2026. Hope you give it a go.